With the 64-bit servers coming soon, there could be a lot more people playing PvP, or at least looking to. In this video, I'm going to get you started with everything that you need to know with the Ettenmoors and Lord of the Rings Online. Let's get going. So what is the Ettenmoors and how do we get there? So first off, the Ettenmoors is the one location in the Lord of the Rings Online that you can PvP, either as your hero character that you play every day, or as a servant of Sauron. There is one main stipulation with this, and that is that you do need to be at least level 20 to be able to take a stable master out to the Ettenmoors. As of right now, there are 4 stable masters that can take you out to the Ettenmoors. One is in the Shire in Mickledelving, one is in Thorin's Hall, one is in Rivendell, and the last one is in Bree, specifically South Bree. Some changes have been made over the years that has made PvP a lot more accessible. The fact that it is completely free to play now means that anybody with a level 20 character can go out there, whether you're paying your VIP or you are a free to play character or a premium character. Now, from the rest of this video, we are going to basically be looking at this from the vantage point of someone who's never been to the Ettenmoors at all. So once you get out here, what do? And in traditional PvE fashion, you may be interested in just picking up all the quests and going from there. But there is one very important quest that you're going to want to start with. So once you arrive at Glanvrag, the first person you're going to want to talk to is Sergeant-at-Arms Asquin. She will provide you with the tutorial quest, The Battle in the Ettenmoors. And the reason why we want to complete this first is this will actually give you your 1-minute Glanvrag map, so that no matter where you are, whether you're out in the battlefield or out in the rest of the world, you can always port back to Glanvrag. It's a pretty simple quest chain that basically is talking to a couple of the NPCs here and explaining the Audacity mechanic, and then also showing you where the gear vendors are in Glanvrag. At this point, you can also go ahead and pick up the rest of the quests if you haven't already. Now, in my opinion, one of the better changes that has been made to PvP and LOTRO has been the accessibility of gear. Previously, when the game started, you would just use your PvE gear. There was some PvP gear, and then people would kind of use a mismatch of that gear. And then later on, there was a mechanic that was called Audacity that was added in. The problem with this was that at one point you had all of your gear being rank gated. So you would come out in here and have a lot less Audacity than other players or the monster players, and it just made it a lot more difficult to play and start and do that. Now, one thing to mention, if you are between level 20 and 149, you will be automatically scaled to level 150, and you will have 16 Audacity. Once you hit level 150, you're actually going to drop back down to 1 Audacity, and you'll need to bring that back up through purchasing gear from the vendors out here. As it currently stands, there are technically 4 sets of gear in each of the heavy, medium, and light armor sets. There's basically a defensive one and an offensive one, and there is one that costs gold, and there's one that costs commendations, which is the currency out here in the Ettenmoors. This makes it really easy to get started out here because you can basically come out here, go to the vendor, and use gold to buy all of the gear that you need, whether it's armor, jewelry, class items, and so on. The big deal is just to make sure that if you are level 150, make sure you are at 17 Audacity or you are going to have a rough time. One of the last things I want to talk about here is the consumables that you can purchase. The consumables that you can actually purchase in the Ettenmoors are only for use within the PvP area. So the health pots, morale pots, tokens, scrolls, and food can only be used in this area. While some of these can be purchased specifically with commendations, there are some that also require some of the materials that drop from killing either enemies or completing other quests out here in the Ettenmoors. Along with other player enemies, you're also going to see other NPCs such as orcs and bears and wolves and things like that. These enemies can actually drop materials that you can use for other PvE related quests out here at the different strongholds. Now, speaking about strongholds, we should probably actually talk about the concept of what actually is happening out here in this PvP area. So the concept out here is that it is a constant push and pull, capture the flag style system. The map is broken up into 5 major geographic regions: the Steppes of Graham, Eredor's End, Hordale, Ithlad, and the Coldfells. Within these regions, there are strongholds and outposts. The strongholds can be taken over by defeating either the Tyrant or Captain General, depending on which side you're on. 2 of these major outposts, Tirith Raw and Logazag, actually have res circles that are attached to them, so they contain a strategic advantage, those strongholds. Now, something that can happen is that if one side has the entire map flipped, it can really discourage certain types of combat out here, and so you will see groups that will discourage flipping every keep so that either one side has a specific res, or at least have some of the buffs that you get from holding a keep. Now, each one of these strongholds and outposts, when you control them, have different buffs, and this can range from just gaining more infamy or renown, or gaining more finesse or outgoing damage, or different things depending on what the situation is. And there are a lot of different buffs out here. Okay, so now that we kind of understand how to get here, what we're doing, what the reason behind it is, what do you do when there's downtime and there's not combat? Well, again, each of the areas, each of the strongholds, and your secondary base, such as Osringdir for the Freeps, all have extra quests that you can do. And again, these can be turning in items that you have acquired from killing tyrants or, soldiers or things like that. So you can actually pick up a healthy amount of renown and commendations by simply turning in these daily quests. Now, something else to keep in mind with this is that you do need to be controlling a keep to be able to pick up and turn in quests. So this would be a kind of incentive to flip a keep, but again, you're going to need the basically agreeance of the whole group to be able to go in and flip it. It's not something you can typically go do solo. Now, while there are still some remaining things to talk about as far as PvP, I don't really want to overload you with all the things that you can do out here. There are still some more things. However, I did want to provide a basic overview of those things to really get you started out here, maybe get you over the hump and trying something maybe that you've never done before in Lord of the Rings Online. I really do think PvP is going to pick up quite a bit once the server merges happen, so I encourage everybody to go out and play if you haven't already. Take this opportunity to do it, and who knows, maybe you'll find out that you actually do like PvP. That's going to do it for me for this one, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.